Hi guys, Aka here, back at you with another comparison video. This time, we're looking at the latest general to be added to the game, Maria Carolina, the Queen of Ground, as I call her. Now, as you well know, we have a wide variety of ladies in Evony. For example, we have pretty ladies in uniform, if that's your thing. We also have pretty ladies not in uniform, if that's your thing. And don't worry, if pretty ladies are not your thing, Evony has got you covered there as well. But now we have Maria. We're going to take a look at her, see what she can do, and see how well she stacks up against the other ground generals that we have in the game. So let's hop right in. Okay guys, want to put a quick word in for the Amazon App Store. Now, some of you might know this, but for anyone that doesn't, the App Store is officially ending all third-party services by the 20th of August this year. So, if you have Amazon coins that you have already paid for towards Evony, you need to use those before the 20th of August. Now, if you're someone that uses an Amazon device, don't worry, you will still have access to the App Store and its main features, so you can continue to do your thing on there. Aside from that, of course, there are going to be lots of Evony events running. I'm going to stay on top of that, so you guys make sure you stay on top of it too. And there's going to be a new Evony Discord opening up for us to stay connected. Link to the Discord is down in the description. That's it, guys. Remember the D-date, 20th of August. Okay, so we have Maria here, and to kick us off, we're going to take a look at her main skill. So for her main skill, she gets 50% attack, 40% defense, and 50% HP. Okay, that's good. Point to note is that she's a when leading the army general. So as you know, when leading the army generals are very versatile and you can use them in pretty much any situation. Okay, now if we move on to her specialties, right? By the time you look at her specialties and you put all of them together, Maria comes out with a total of 60% attack, 20% defense, and 60% HP. Okay, now if we move to her ascension, by the time you put all the stats in her ascension together, Maria comes out with 80% attack, 40% defense, and 50% HP. Alrighty, now when we put all of her stats together, Maria Carolina comes out with a total of 190% attack, 100% defense, and 160% HP. Okay, very good stats, very respectable stats. Now, let's put her up against the other top ground generals that we have in the game. And for this comparison, these are the generals I've selected, okay, for various reasons. So here we have their stats. Right, now at first glance, Maria is doing pretty decently on the stats. Amongst the generals we're looking at, she's tied for the highest ground attack. She's falling a bit short on ground defense, but amongst the generals we're looking at, she has the highest stats for HP. And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she has the highest ground HP of all ground generals in the game. Alright, so she's doing very well on the stats, and you wouldn't be out of place making the argument that she's the best ground general in the game. But as you know at this point, we have to include that crucial factor, march size. Now, when we compare the march sizes of these generals, these are the march sizes that they are working with. Now, as you can see, because of the march sizes, Maria is a little bit behind. All right? Of the generals that we are looking at, she has the lowest march size, but not by much. Okay, it's important to note that, not by much. So, on all fronts, she is a very respectable general. But all in all, when you consider the stats and the march sizes together, she's probably not the top general in the game right now. but still very good. Okay, now let's switch gears for a second and take a look at Maria's covenant. So we have her covenant here, and these are the 3 generals that she needs for her covenant. Okay, all in all, pretty all right, but I want to highlight the point of Elizabeth I. I've mentioned this before. In my opinion, at least for me, Elizabeth is not a particularly easy general to get. If you have her, that's great for you. If you don't, well, you know. The other 2 generals are pretty okay generals to get. Not too difficult in my opinion. So for her covenant, you'll be at least looking at 2 out of 3 generals. All right. Now, if we look at the stats in the covenant is pretty okay. I think her covenant is pretty okay. She's got march size here in the covenant, which we had factored in already. But the interesting point for Maria that I want to note is that she gets a lot of ground attack in her covenant. So you see here, you have the in-rally attack 10%. You have the ground troop attack 10%. And ground troop attack here 10%. So in that respect, yeah, I think she's got a very decent covenant. All right, now we want to move on and take a look at Maria's compatibility. The first thing we want to look at is her compatibility with skill books. So we have my Maria here, and as we look at the skill books, we've got ground attack right here. If we tap on it, voila, she's compatible with the ground attack book. In fact, she's compatible with the defense, the HP, and the march size book. So Maria is compatible with all the ground books that we have in the game. Now, let's take a look at Maria's compatibility with other generals. So we come out and come right here, as I normally do. Okay, so we have Maria here. Now, the first general that we want to compare Maria with is Lucilla. And break out the confetti, guys. Maria is compatible with Lucilla, which is a great combination. Okay, now we move on to the next general, Elise. Okay, and as we can see here, Maria is compatible with Elise. However, I want to point out something a bit weird with Maria's compatibility here. As you see right here, this is the ground defense book on Elise, and it is grayed out. Okay, so for some reason, the ground defense book is not working here. But as we checked earlier, we know that Maria is compatible with the ground defense book. All right, to check this even further, if we switch the generals around, you can see that it's showing that Maria is not compatible right now. And that is because of the ground defense book. So this is something weird with Maria's compatibility. If you're using her, you need to make sure that she has the ground defense book and not the assistant. Okay, the ground defense book needs to be on Maria. All right. Now, the next general that we want to check her compatibility with, Alessandra. Okay, and as you can see, Maria is compatible with Alessandra. All good. Now, moving on, Maria is compatible with Frigg, which is nice. However, she is not compatible with Xiang Fei, which is kind of weird, but yeah, that's why it is. So no compatibility with Xiang Fei. Okay, great news as well. She is compatible with Narcissus. Okay, so that's a good combination. In addition to that, Maria is also compatible with Charles V. Okay, very strong combination. So Maria, for the most part, has pretty decent compatibility. Now, these are the generals that I was able to check. If you know of any other prominent generals that she's compatible with or not compatible with, as usual, please feel free to drop a comment down below. Okay, so that pretty much covers using Maria as the main general. But how does she do as the assistant? Let's take a look at it right here. So these are the stats for most of the prominent assistants that we have. And as you can see, Maria is doing pretty okay. While she might not be the outright best on the stats, One key point to note about Maria is that all of her march size, all 14% of it, is available when she's the assistant. And in addition, she's a when leading the army general. So those are two very strong points for using her as an assistant. Of course, if we compare her with Lucila, I think she's doing a bit better on the stats, but she's about 2% behind on march size. So, you get some here, you take some there, that kind of thing. Okay, we have gone through all the stats, and what I can say about Maria is that, in my opinion, she is without a doubt the best female ground general in the game. Now, is she the outright best ground general in the game? No. That title is still held by narcissists, in my opinion. Now, if we're talking about when leading the army generals, does that mean that Maria is the second? In my opinion, that's arguable as well, because I think in terms of when leading the army generals, fully ascended, Xiang Fei is giving her tough competition for that second spot for when leading the army generals. Yes, she is a bit better than Xiang Fei on the stats, but Xiang Fei does have an extra 4% march size over Maria. But I might be inclined to give it to Xiang Fei. That's as the main general. Now, as an assistant, Maria is a very good assistant. And as you know, she's when leading the army. That's great. Plus, she has all of her march size available. However, she is not the top ground assistant in the game. Okay? That position is still held by Lucila. In my opinion, Lucila is still the best ground assistant in the game. However, Maria does kick out Xiang Fei as being the second best assistant in the game. So that's very good. If for some reason you didn't get Lucila and you're not able to get her right now and you want a top ground assistant, then Maria is now your go-to for you to get a very solid ground assistant. Now, on that point, as you know, Maria is a when leading the army general, so you could technically use her as a defense general if you have a ground-based keep. In that respect, I think she would do very well as well. Now, if you're looking at all these generals and let's say you're having trouble picking out a good assistant for yourself and you would like some help on what to focus on to make that decision a bit clearer for you, then you can check out this video here where we cover all the main things that you need to check for you to pick your best assistant general, and of course, including your ground assistant general. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. That's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. Aka signing out.